So with this, we have completed whatever the prerequisites that are required for the better understanding of the types of majorities in the Indian Constitution. So in the Indian Constitution, we are having 4 different types of majorities: simple majority, effective majority, absolute majority, and special majority. Under the special majority category, there are again 4 different types of majorities. So for the better understanding of all these types of majorities, we require certain terminologies: maximum strength, maximum strength, sanction strength, or the total membership of the House, effective strength, also the terminologies such as vacancies, absentees, abstainers. So these terminologies are the prerequisites for the better understanding of the sections from 12.2 to 12.5. Now we are entering into section 12.2, that is simple majority. So every majority, the 4 majorities we are going to cover from the conceptual understanding, the formula and examples, and then the applications. So what are the applications of each of these majorities we are going to look into, right? So the concept of the simple majority is, just go through this slide actually. So in India's parliamentary system, the simple majority is one of the most crucial and widely used majority for the decision making. So it is most oftenly used majority for making any decision in the Indian Parliament. So it is very widely used. Because of its greater usage, it is also known as functional majority or working majority. Functional majority or working majority. So the simple majority is also known as functional majority or working majority. Got my point? So it is also known as the default majority because wherever in the constitution or in any law that is made by the parliament, if no special requirement of the majority is mentioned, if there is no mentioning of any special requirement of the majority, then the decisions are made with the use of simple majority. So the simple majority is also used as the default majority. Whenever there is nothing mentioned about the majority that is required, then the simple majority is used for making the decisions. Got my point? Right. So the formula for simple majority is straightforward. It is very simple. It is the majority of the members present and voting. It is the majority of the members present and voting. So whoever the members they are present means we have to deduct the absentees. Who are the members? They are voting. Voting means we have to deduct the members who are abstaining from voting, who are declining or who are declining from voting. So we have to deduct from the total membership of the House, we have to deduct the absentees, we have to deduct the abstainers, and also we have to deduct the vacancies. So vacancies, absentees, abstainers. If we deduct all these 3 values from the total membership of the House, then we get the members present and voting. The members present and voting is equal to total membership of the House minus absentees minus abstainers minus vacancies. So we need to get the majority of that particular value. So I will come to that later. Importantly, absent members and those who abstain from voting are not included. They are excluded. Okay. So this is the formula actually. Simple majority equal to majority of the members present and voting. Majority of members present and voting. So here majority of members present and voting is nothing but here majority of members present and voting. What does this term mean by? So here members present and voting equal to total membership of the House. We have to take the total membership of the House. In case of Lok Sabha, it is 543. For Lok Sabha, it is 543. For Rajya Sabha, it is 245. So we have to take that particular value here. We have to deduct. We have to deduct the absentees. We have to deduct the abstainers, and we have to deduct the vacancies. So when we deduct absentees, abstainers, and vacancies from the total membership of the House, then we will get members present and voting. Members present and voting. We have to get the majority of the members present and voting. First, we have to get the value of the members present and voting. Then we have to take the majority of that particular value. So the formula becomes now. So simple majority equal to, we have to get the majority of members present and voting. So members present and voting is nothing but the numerator value. So the numerator value is the members present and voting. Whenever we are taking the majority means we have to take off of that value and we have to add 1 to that. So whenever there is a whole number that we get, for example, if it's say 500, majority of 500 means 500 by 2 plus 1. That means 250 plus 1 equal to 251. So majority of 500 is nothing but 251. So here the result, the division of the result is whole number. It is not the decimal number. So whenever we get the decimal number, the situation is different. So majority of 250. We have to get the majority of 250. Not 250 actually. we have to get the majority of 501. Let us assume that majority of the 501. Then we have to do 501 divided by 2 plus 1. So here 250.5 plus 1. 250.5 plus 1. There is a decimal value. Whenever there is a decimal value in this division, we have to neglect that. We have to neglect that. So we should not take the decimal value. We take only the whole number. That means 250 plus 1, that implies 251. So the majority of 500 members is 251. Also the majority of 501 is also 251. Got my point? So whenever there is a decimal value that is a result of this division, we have to neglect the decimal value and we have to take only the whole number, that is 250 here. 250 plus 1, 251. Right. So here, so the simple majority formula is nothing but we have to divide the members present and voting by 2 plus 1. We have to take the half of the value of members present and voting. Whatever the numerator value here that indicates, whatever the numerator value here that indicates members present and voting. Members present and voting. So we have to take half of that value. So we have to divide that with 2. So we have to take half of that value and we have to add 1. So whenever this result gives a decimal number, decimal value, we have to neglect that decimal value and we have to take only the whole number. We have to take the whole number only and we have to add 1. Then we will get that majority. Got my point? With the help of 1 or 2 examples, you can able to understand this in a better way. So here, let us consider that on a particular day in the Lok Sabha. Here it is related to Lok Sabha. Got my point? It is related to Lok Sabha. Right. So here this example is related to Lok Sabha. So the question, the example giving that 25 members are absentees and 28 members are absteners. That is, they are present there, but they are declined to vote. They are declined to participate in the voting. And 4 seats are vacancies. So on a particular day in the Lok Sabha, the situation is like this: 25 members were absent, so they were not there in the house. 28 members are absteners. They were there, but they are not taking part in the voting process. And there are 4 vacancies. There are 4 vacancies. So there is no representation for the 4 seats. Now we have to find the simple majority. So the process goes like this: simple majority equal to, just substitute in the above formula, whatever the formula that is there, just substitute. So we are talking about the Lok Sabha. So the total membership of the Lok Sabha is 543. 543 minus absentees. The absentees are here 25 minus abstainers. Abstainers are 28, right? So the vacancies are 4 divided by 2 plus 1 divided by 2 plus 1. Got my point? So the total value turns around 486 by 2. 486 by 2 plus 1, which is equal to 243 plus 1, that implies 244. 244. So this is the majority of the members present and voting on that particular day. This is the majority of the members present and voting on that particular day. So this is the simple majority that is required. This is the simple majority that is required on that particular day. So the simple majority changes based on the absentees, based on the abstainers, based on the vacancies. So based on all these values, whenever we deduct all these values from the total membership of the house, we will get members present and voting. Members present and voting. And we have to take the majority of the members present and voting. So we have to divide the members present and voting by 2. So we have to divide it with 2 and we have to add 1. Whenever this division results in a decimal value, we have to neglect the decimal value and we have to take only the whole number. We have to add 1 to the whole number. Then we will get the majority of the members present and voting. So the decimal value example will be shown in the next line. Next example. So here we are taking the case of Rajya Sabha. And on a particular day there were 11 absentees are there. 11 absentees are there. 9 abstainers are there. And 2 vacancies in the Rajya Sabha. Now we have to get the simple majority that is required on that particular day in Rajya Sabha. We have to get the simple majority on that particular day in Rajya Sabha. So here the simple majority equal to, so the total membership of the Rajya Sabha is 245. We know that the total membership of the Rajya Sabha is 245. Because of such reason, I have discussed at the introduction of the lecture. I have given idea with the familiarity of the total membership of the house, maximum strength, sanction strength, vacancies, abstainers, and absentees. Right. So the total membership of Rajya Sabha is 245. So the absentees here are 11, abstentions are 9, vacancies are 2. So divide the total value with 2 and add 1. Got my point? So here the value turns out to be 223 by 2 plus 1. 222 by 223 divided by 2 plus 1. So this is 111.5 plus 1. So 111.5. So here we have got a decimal value. So neglect the decimal value and take the whole number only. So 111 plus 1 which equal to 112. So this is the value. This is the majority of the members present and voting. This is the majority of the members present and voting. That is nothing but simple majority on that particular day in Rajya Sabha. Simple majority on that particular day in Rajya Sabha. Got my point? So this is the mathematical calculation, or we can say the legislative math in the parliament. In such particular way, we have to calculate the majorities. This is related to simple majority. In a similar manner, we are going to look into effective, absolute, and special majorities. Right. So we have completed the concept of simple majority, examples of simple majority. Now we are getting into the applications of simple majority. So out of all the majorities, we are going to look into, we are going to have more number of applications in the simple majority only. We are going to have more number of applications in simple majority only. Because of such reason, it is known as the functional majority or working majority, and also default majority. So application 1, passing of bills. So in the parliament, any proposal for legislation is brought before the house in the form of a bill. Proposals for the legislation will be brought before the house in the form of bills. So for passing of the bills, the majority that is used is simple majority. For passing of the bills or for enacting the legislations, the voting process is there. In that voting process, the majority that is used is simple majority. There are different types of bills in the parliament. We are going to look into that in the volume 2 in the Indian Parliament section. Right? So there are different types of bills. Each bill is put to vote to become a law. So that voting process, the majority there involved in that voting process is simple majority. So there are different types of bills that are there in the Indian parliamentary system. They are ordinary bills. These are the bills they actually legislate. These are the bills they involve ordinary matters of legislation. So for passing of ordinary bills, the majority that is used is simple majority. These ordinary bills, they are governed by Article 107 of the Indian Constitution. Article 107 of the Indian Constitution deals with the ordinary bills. What are these ordinary bills? We are going to look into that in the volume 2. For now, just stick to the syllabus. They stick to the lecture. So we are in the application part of the simple majority. Under the simple majority is used for passing of the bills. So there are different types of bills. For all the proposals of legislation, for all different types of bills, the majority that is used is ordinary bills only. The majority that is used is simple majority only. So people might get confused that money bills, they are kind of important bills, they are kind of financial. The finances are included in money bills. Money bills deal with the input and output of the consolidated fund. Whatever the money that gets into the consolidated fund of India, whatever the money that comes out of the consolidated fund of India through a legislation, means those legislations are known as money bills. Money bills involve the money into the consolidated fund of India or money out of the consolidated fund of India. Consolidated fund of India is nothing but a fund that is managed by government of India, and all the money comes into, all the taxes and everything that comes into consolidated fund of India, and also whatever the expenditures that are incurred by the government of India are coming out of the consolidated fund of India. So money bills deal with such type of activity. But the people may think that money bills are very important from the perspective of Indian Parliament. So the people may, the aspirants may think that money bills require a kind of special majority. Money bills may require a kind of special majority, but it is not the case. Money bills also require simple majority. Money bills also require simple majority. So money bills are governed by Articles 109 and 110. Articles 109 and 110 govern the money bills. Right. So there are another bills. They are known as financial bills. Financial bills. So these financial bills are of two categories. Category 1. So what are these categories and everything? We are going to look into in volume 2. Category 2. Category 1 and category 2. So category 1 financial bill comes under article 117 of 1, article 117 of 1, subclause 1. Category 2 comes under article 117 of clause 3. 117 of clause 3. So ordinary bills, money bills, financial bills of category 1, category 2, every bill, I mean all these bills require the majority, that is simple majority. The majority, that is simple majority. Right? So apart from these bills, there are another bills. They are known as constitutional amendment bills. Constitutional amendment bills. I will give a snapshot here, and we will be looking at. I mean, we will be discussing that a bit later. So constitutional amendment bills. Constitutional amendment bills. So the constitutional amendment bills can be of three types. In other words, we can say that constitutional amendment can be done by using three different majorities. The constitution can be amended by using three different majorities. They are simple majority, right? The second thing is special majority under Article 368. So whatever that we have discussed under special majority in the introduction lecture, we have seen that under special majority there are four types. So this is the second type. So the third type is special majority under Article 368. Plus 50% of the states ratification. 50% of the states ratification. Got my point? So the constitutional amendment bills can be of three types based on the majority that is required to pass such a bill. They are simple majority. Constitutional amendment bills can be passed through the simple majority. They can be passed by using special majority under Article 368, and they can be passed by using special majority under 368 plus 50% of the state's consent. There I have mentioned that whenever the federal provisions were affected, whenever the state's interest were affected, then the state's consent is also important. At least 50% of the states must say yes. So this is another kind of majority, right? So about these three we will be discussing a bit later. So here my point to raise this is using simple majority also, constitution can be amended, and all such bills required special majority. So it is also an application of special majority, right? So as a separate application, we are going to look into simple majority also. So while we are discussing the passing of bills, we have said that ordinary bills, money bills, financial bills of category 1 and category 2, and also constitutional amendment bills which require simple majority, all these fall under the category of all these actually fall under the simple majority applications, right? So the second application of the simple majority lies in the passing of motions. So here the motions are the tools that are available with the Lok Sabha. So motions are available with Lok Sabha only, and Rajya Sabha has no such kind of motions, because through the motions the Lok Sabha can exercise control over the executive. Through the use of motions, Lok Sabha can make the executive accountable to the legislature, that is the parliament. So the Lok Sabha is the body of House of Representatives who are elected by who are directly elected by the people of India. So Indian Constitution, through the preamble, it is saying that all the source and authority of the government is derived from the people of India. So because of such reason, the Lok Sabha only has the authority to exercise control over the executive or the government. So the Lok Sabha, with the use of motions, it controls the government. It makes sure that the executive is accountable to the legislature, that is Indian Parliament. So with the use of the motions, Lok Sabha exercise control over the executive. So there are several motions, such as first one is no confidence motion. So what are these motions and everything? We are going to discuss in a detailed manner in the volume 2 under Indian Parliament section. If we continue discussing all these motions here itself, the length of the video will be very long, and we divert from our original discussion. No confidence motion, confidence motion, adjournment motion, and censure motion. Censure motion. So all these motions are available with only Lok Sabha, only Lok Sabha, and Rajya Sabha has no such kind of motions, right? So Lok Sabha. So whenever the no confidence motion is put forth, I mean here no confidence motion was put forth by opposition, whereas confidence motion was actually put forth by the government itself. I mean the ruling party. So the difference here is the no confidence motion says that the opposition claims that the ruling government or the ruling party or the ruling coalition party has no confidence. I mean the Lok Sabha has no confidence in the ruling government. So that is known as no confidence motion. Whereas the confidence motion, whenever there is a coalition government, if a party actually comes out of that coalition, then the ruling party put forth the confidence motion in the floor of Lok Sabha. Actually, it claims or it actually proves its majority. So whenever a party in a coalition government, whenever a party comes out of that coalition, then it is the responsibility of the ruling government or the ruling party to prove its majority in the Lok Sabha. So such kind of thing is known as confidence motion. The ruling party or the ruling government, they actually put forth for the confidence motion and they prove their majority in the Lok Sabha, right? So the no confidence motion is the element of opposition party, whereas the confidence motion is put forth by the ruling government or ruling party, right? Similarly, there is adjournment motion, there is censure motion. All these motions are the tools of Lok Sabha, and whenever the subject matter of these motions will be debated, will be discussed, and the subject matter is put to vote. Under such voting process, the majority that is used is simple majority. This is the application of simple majority, that is passing of motions. For passing of all these motions, the majority that is used is simple majority. Got my point? So the third thing is emergency provisions. Under the emergency provisions also, the majority that is used is simple majority. So the emergency provisions are three types in India. One is national emergency. Second thing is state emergency or president rule. It is also popularly known as president's rule. Third thing is financial emergency. So the emergency provisions are enlisted in Part 18 of the Indian Constitution from Article 352 to 360. Under these articles, under Part 18 of the Indian Constitution, the emergency provisions are enlisted. So national emergency falls under Article 352. This state emergency or the president rule falls under 356. Financial emergency falls under Article 360. So the simple majority is used for the approval of state emergency and financial emergency. For the approval, emergency provisions are under the ambit of the executive, and the President of India proclaims these kind of emergencies. President of India will proclaim these kind of emergencies. So it is the apparatus of the executive. After the proclamation, such a proclamation was brought before the parliament. And the parliament has to approve it. So if the parliament did not approve, such kind of proclamation will not continue. So parliament has to approve. For such kind of approval, the voting that is, for such kind of approval, the majority that is required is for these two types simple majority. Got my point? So out of the emergency provisions, there are three types of emergency provisions. There are three different types of emergencies. One is national emergency, state emergency, and financial emergency. State emergency is also known as president rule. So national emergency will be proclaimed, under the provisions of 352, Article 352, 356, 360. So whenever that is proclaimed by the executive, that is President of India, with the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. So Union Council of Ministers will aid or will advise the President of India to proclaim such kind of emergencies. But such kind of proclamation will be brought before the Parliament, and Parliament has to approve it. The majority that is used for the approval is simple majority in these two cases. In those two cases, that is state emergency and financial emergency, for the approval of the parliament, the majority that is used is simple majority. Whereas the majority that is used for national emergency for the approval and continuation. For national emergency, there are two things actually: approval and continuation. For the first time, if the proclamation was made, that has to be approved by the Indian Parliament, right? And after 6 months, if again such type of proclamation has to be continued, then the Parliament has to continue. Continuation. For the continuation also, there is a approval from the Parliament. So for approval and for the continuation, for both the processes, the majority that is required is special majority. Special majority. The national emergency, if so proclaimed by the President of India, it has to get the approval of the Parliament. It has to get the approval of the Parliament, and the majority that is required for getting approval of the Parliament is special majority under Article 368. Special majority under Article 368. Right? So after the approval, for next 6 months, the national emergency will be on. The national emergency will be continue. After 6 months, again, if there are certain conditions that require the continuation of the national emergency, then again the Parliament takes up the matter and it reviews. And if there is any continuation of the national emergency is required, then again it has to approve it, and then again it has to approve the continuation. And again, in such circumstances also, for the continuation also, the majority required is special majority under Article 368. Got my point? So under the application 3 is related to emergency provisions. The emergency provisions are listed in Part 18 of the Constitution under Article 352 to 360. There are three types of emergencies: national emergency, state emergency, or president rule, or financial emergency. For the last two emergencies, that is state emergency and financial emergency, the approval of the Parliament is required, and the majority that is used for the approval of the Parliament is simple majority. Whereas for the national emergency, the approval is required for the approval and the continuation. The majority that is required is special majority under Article 368. Earlier, for the national emergency also, the simple majority was used, but after the 44th Amendment Act of 1978, the simple majority requirement was changed to special majority to make sure that national emergency cannot be proclaimed that easily. As we have seen, the internal emergency of 1975 to 1977, under the leadership of Indira Gandhi, there was a proclamation of national emergency under the grounds of internal disturbance. So to avoid such kind of situations, and to make sure a higher acceptance in the Parliament, so the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act has made the proclamation of national emergency must be approved with the usage of special majority under Article 368. So this is the third application under simple majority. The fourth application is election of office holders. Election of office holders. Just a minute. Right. So there are certain constitutional functionaries. The election of those constitutional functionaries will use the special majority. Right. So they are in the Parliament. Speaker of Lok Sabha, Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha, Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha, Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha, Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha. Don't ask me why I did not include the Chairman of Rajya Sabha, because Chairman of Rajya Sabha is none other than the Vice President of India. So the Vice President of India is the ex officio Chairman of Rajya Sabha. So his election is different. So we will be getting into that whenever we are dealing with the Vice President chapter. So in the Parliament, for the election of Speaker of Lok Sabha, for the election of Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha, for the election of Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha, the simple majority is used. Right? So in the state legislature, Speaker of Legislative Assembly, Deputy Speaker of Legislative Assembly. So whenever a bicameralism is there in the states, so under such circumstances, Chairman of State Legislative Council, Deputy Chairman of deputy chairman of state legislative council. So if unicameralism is there in the states, then speaker of Lok Sabha, deputy speaker, sorry, speaker of state legislative assembly, deputy speaker of state legislative assembly. These two personalities will be elected through the use of simple majority. Whenever there is a bicameralism in the states, then speaker of state legislative assembly, deputy speaker of state legislative assembly, chairman of state legislative council, deputy chairman of state legislative council. So these four members will be elected through the use of simple majority, right? So in the parliament, speaker of Lok Sabha, deputy speaker of Lok Sabha, deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha. In the state legislative, in the state legislature, speaker of state legislative assembly, deputy speaker of state legislative assembly, and whenever there is a bicameralism, there chairman of Rajya Sabha, sorry, chairman of state legislative council and deputy chairman of state legislative council. All these personalities will be elected through the use of simple majority. Got my point? Here, so removal of vice president. So vice president election is different. So we are getting into that under the vice president chapter. So for the removal of president, sorry, for the removal of vice president, for the removal of vice president, so there is a dual approach here. Removal of vice president can only be initiated in Rajya Sabha. Remember this. Removal of vice president can only be initiated in Rajya Sabha, right? Can only be initiated in Rajya Sabha. So Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha. So the process in Rajya Sabha is initiation done. Initiation in Rajya Sabha only. In Rajya Sabha only, because vice president is the ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. Because of that reason, the removal of vice president can only be initiated in Rajya Sabha. First point. In Rajya Sabha, the majority required is, in Rajya Sabha, the majority required for the removal of the vice president is effective majority. Effective majority. Whereas in Lok Sabha, after the resolution that was put forth in Rajya Sabha for the removal of the vice president, and the Rajya Sabha has said okay for that with the use of effective majority. With the use of effective majority, the Rajya Sabha says okay for the removal of the vice president. Then that particular resolution is sent to Lok Sabha. And Lok Sabha takes up the matter. And put to vote. And in the Lok Sabha also there is a voting. Under such circumstances, in Lok Sabha, that particular resolution requires simple majority. Got my point? So we have included application 5, removal of president under simple majority, because whenever there is a resolution for the removal of the vice president that was put forth in Rajya Sabha, so only in Rajya Sabha that has to be done, because vice president of India is the ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. So his removal process must be initiated in the Rajya Sabha only. For example, if such a kind of resolution was moved in Rajya Sabha and Rajya Sabha has approved that with the use of effective majority, so in the Rajya Sabha, for the removal of vice president, effective majority is required. After the passing of such resolution, that resolution is sent to Lok Sabha, and Lok Sabha takes up the matter, and it discusses, debates about that, and the matter is put to vote. Then the majority that is required for the removal of the vice president in Lok Sabha is simple majority. So for the removal of the vice president in Rajya Sabha, effective majority is required. In Lok Sabha, simple majority is required. Remember this. So this is application 5. Right. So the application 6 here is constitutional amendments outside the scope of Article 368. So here the constitutional amendments can be made. The amendment of the constitution can be made in 3 different processes through three different majorities. They are simple majority, special majority under Article 368, and also special majority under Article 368 in the Parliament. So special majority is required in the Parliament under Article 368 plus 50% of the states' consent. We have discussed this time and again. 50% of the states' ratification. We have discussed this third category time and again. Whenever there is a damage, or whenever there are states' interests are involved, whenever there is change or amendment to the federal provisions, then the states' consent is required. At least 50% of the states have to say yes, or have to give their consent. So the constitution can be amended under 3 different ways. One is simple majority. Second is special majority under Article 368. Third thing is special majority under Article 368 in the Parliament plus 50% of the state's consent. Right. So here outrightly this first category falls under the special majority, simple majority. Under the simple majority, several provisions of the Constitution can be amended. So all those provisions fall under the simple majority category. Here one more thing is the Constitution that can be amended using the simple majority. So the constitutional amendment process is defined in Part 20 of the Constitution under Article 368. Under Article 368 in Part 20. In Part 20, so the Constitutional Amendment Part 20, it contains only one article, that is Article 368. So Article 368 details about the constitutional amendment process. So the constitutional amendment process was obtained or borrowed from the South African Constitution. So the process was detailed in Article 368 under Part 20. So here it is important to note that whatever the provisions that were amended through simple majority, they do not fall under Part 20. They do not fall under Article 368. So they are the normal legislations only. They are normal legislations. They do not consider as, they are not considered as constitutional amendments. Constitutional amendments. Got my point? So whatever the provisions of the constitutions which can be amended through the simple majority, they do not fall under the category of constitutional amendments. They are actually the normal legislations. For example, the creation of Telangana. For the creation of, for example, the creation of Telangana in 2014, which was brought like an ordinary legislation only. It is not considered as a constitutional amendment. So the constitutional amendment under the strict purview of the 368, Article 368, they only contain these two processes only. Under these two categories only, we have to consider that these are the constitutional amendments. These are the constitutional amendments, and whatever the constitutional amendment that were brought with the simple majority, they are not considered as the constitutional amendments under the purview of 368. Got my point? So constitution can be amended through simple majority also. We can include the text, we can exclude the text, we can repeal the text using simple majority. But those type of bills or those type of legislations are not considered as constitutional amendments, because Article 368 details the procedure of constitutional amendment, and under these two categories only are considered as constitutional amendments, and the simple majority is not considered. By using the simple majority, whatever the provisions that are amended, they are not considered as the constitutional amendments. So this kind of procedure was included in the constitution amendment process to make sure that the Indian constitution amendment process is flexible and rigid. At the same time, it is flexible. So several provisions of the Indian constitution can be amended through simple majority. So it is flexible characteristic, and several provisions of the Indian constitution require the state's consent, which is very rigid. So to employ both the processes, that is rigidness and flexibility in the Indian constitution amendment process, this type of process was involved. So constitutional amendments outside the scope of Article 368. So this segment falls outside the scope of Article 368. So whatever the provisions of the Indian Constitution which can be amended through simple majority, they fall outside the scope of 368 and they require simple majority. So the application 6 of simple majority says that the constitutional amendments which are outside the scope of 368, they require simple majority, and it is the application of simple majority. Got my point? So here the seventh application, the same diagram works here also. The seventh application is constitutional amendments under Article 368. The sixth application is constitutional amendments outside the scope of Article 368. Outside the scope of Article 368 means this part. Constitutional amendments under Article 368. So under Article 368 means these two parts, these two sections, these two segments. These two fall under 368. This falls outside the scope of Article 368. Got my point? Right. So we have discussed this. Under application 6, we have discussed this. Now, the application 7 is saying that simple majority is also used. Simple majority is also used in the constitutional amendments under Article 368. So under Article 368, these are the two constitutional amendments. These are the two segments which are considered as constitutional amendments. So now we have to find where the simple majority is required under these two processes. Right. So here, under this process, there is no such requirement of simple majority. Under this category, special majority under Article 368, here we are not going to use any such kind of simple majority. But here we are going to use such kind of simple majority. So here we have said that whenever there is a disturbance to the federal provisions, whenever there is a disturbance to the state's interest, then such kind of constitutional amendment bills have to get special majority under Article 368 in the Parliament. So such bill has to be passed in the Parliament with the use of special majority under Article 368. And after passing, the bill has to send to the states, and state have to give consent. At least 50% of the states have to give consent. Here the consent is there, right? The ratification is based on the simple majority. Simple majority. That means the state have to pass such kind of constitutional amendment bill with the usage of simple majority. So in the Parliament has to pass that kind of bill, that kind of constitutional amendment bill with the use of special majority under Article 368. And after passing, that bill will be sent to the states, and at least 50% of the states have to pass that bill with the usage of simple majority. So in the purview of the constitutional amendment bills, application 6 says that all those bills which fall, all those constitutional amendments which fall outside the scope of 368, that is this first category, they require simple majority. So there are several provisions of the constitutional amendment. There are several provisions of the constitution which can be amended through simple majority. So all those fall under the application 6 of the simple majority. And application 7 says that even within the purview of Article 368, the simple majority is used. So under Article 368 means these two categories. One is special majority under Article 368. Second one is special majority under Article 368 in the Parliament plus 50% of the state's ratification. So here there is no usage of simple majority, but here the simple majority is used. So whenever there is a state's ratification or whenever the state's consent is required, that consent has to be supplemented with the usage of simple majority. In other words, whenever Parliament sends that particular bill to the states for their consent, the states have to pass that particular bill with the usage of simple majority. Got my point?